Hey, picture book people.
This is today's featured book. This is today's Gus. While you're listening, my dad will be doing fan art from the book. Enjoy!
The next president is not a book about presidents so much as it is a book about what our presidents were doing before they were our presidents. And this book actually has kind of a funny backstory. It came about because I have this kind of unusual habit. And I know some people will say it sounds a lot like procrastination, but I swear it's not. But sometimes when I'm taking a break from writing, I like to go on Wikipedia and look up random years. So I might, be ready for a break on this novel or whatever, and I'll go on Wikipedia and say 1952 or 1970 or whatever. And then if you do that, every year on Wikipedia gives you a list of all the different things that happened all over the world in the news that year, as well as a list of people who died that year and people who were born that year. It's really fascinating to look through and think about all the connections, and sometimes it gives me picture book ideas. Sometimes it just makes me, wonder for a little while. But on this particular day, I had happened to look up the year 1970. And I'm scrolling through, and I noticed that in November, Jimmy Carter was elected governor of Georgia, and Ronald Reagan was elected governor of California. And I looked at that and I thought, look at that. Both of those guys are going to be president someday, and they don't even know it yet. For reasons that I can't explain, I find this to be hilarious and fascinating, and it gets me wondering what other presidents were doing in the years leading up to their presidency. So I made this giant chart, and on it I put every president, the year that president was sworn into office, and a list of the other presidents who were alive that year. And what I found was generally there are at least 10 future presidents alive somewhere in the United States. Now, some of them are already purposefully inching their way closer to the job. Maybe they're vice president or secretary of state or serving in the Senate or House of Representatives. But others have no idea yet that they might be president one day. Maybe they're running businesses or in the military, or maybe they're in school or on a soccer field somewhere. And I was fascinated by this idea that on any given day, there are probably at least 10 future presidents out there hanging out, doing whatever. And so I wondered if I could structure a book about this, looking at where all the future presidents were and what they were doing at the time any given president took office. So that's what the next president does. It starts with George Washington. And there were 9 future presidents alive when Washington took his oath of office. So some of them, understandably, are right there with him in the Capitol. John Adams is his vice president, Thomas Jefferson, Secretary of State. But as you go down the line and further into the future, some of those future presidents are, hanging out on the frontier. They're helping their families on farms or off fishing and next to their log cabin somewhere. And so the book goes through just like that, right up through the inauguration of John F. Kennedy. And it was interesting to me, fascinating, in fact, to realize that when Kennedy was sworn into office in 1961, all of the presidents that we've had so far were already alive. And there were 10 presidents alive at that point. And so it looks at what they were doing, and it was kind of fun to see. This is the spread where Carter and Reagan from that brainstorming moment showed up. Carter was running a peanut farm when JFK was sworn into office, and Reagan at that time was working as a TV host. He was, he had already done some play-by-play sports on the radio and acted in some movies, but by then he was hosting General Electric Theater. And that year, 1961, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump were all about 15 years old. They were all in high school then, and that was the year Barack Obama was born. So it was this really fascinating rabbit hole to dive down, to look at where these future presidents were when any given president took office. And then, of course, the book ends by wondering where our next presidents are right now. And, of course, some of them are probably kids. So that's really fun for young readers to think about, too.
This was just a small portion of our talk. To hear the full chat, find Picture Booking wherever you get your podcasts, or visit picturebooking.com. For more videos like this one, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.